Okay, everyone, it's so nice to see everyone here. It's a little bit of a historic moment that we have now in Aish. I believe it's the first lunch and learn for Jerusalem staff together, and I think it's very fitting before Shavuos as we come together at Har Sinai. So it's special also to come together as a team, as one team together, to learn together a little bit before Mincha. We're going to have Rav Dov come on shortly in a few minutes. But I thought to start with a short idea. So we know, Rashi says, at Har Sinai, so we know the Jewish people, Vayichan, the Jewish people encamped in the singular, Vayichan. So everyone knows that Rashi says that the Jewish people were Ke'ish echad b'lev echad. We were like one people, like one person, b'lev echad, with one heart. What's interesting is, that's not the only time that Rashi describes the people as being together. The Egyptians also had unity. Right in Beshalach, the pasuk says, "Vayirdof achareihem," that the Egyptians pursued the Jewish people, Vayirdof in the singular, just like Vayichan. The Egyptians also, Vayirdof, they pursued the Jewish people in the singular as one being. And Rashi says there, a very similar phrase. Instead of saying Ki ish echad b'lev echad, Rashi writes regarding the Egyptians, they were b'lev echad ki ish echad. They were with one heart, like one man. So what's the difference between Ki'ish Echad, B'lev Echad, that the Jewish people were, and B'lev Echad, Ki'ish Echad, that the Egyptians were? Says Rav Hutner, there's two types of unity. There's a unity of B'lev Echad primarily, and there's a unity of Ki'ish Echad primarily. Rav Hutner says that the unity of the Egyptians, that was primarily B'lev Echad. They were primarily with one heart. They had one objective, which was to defeat the Jewish people, and therefore, as a result of that, they were Ki'ish Echad. They were like a being, temporarily, because they had a common goal. The Jewish people, on the other hand, they weren't B'lev Echad primarily. They were primarily Ki'ish Echad. They were intrinsically like one being. We, the Jewish people, are intrinsically like one person. We're intrinsically bound to each other, the Jewish people, through the Torah, through the people, through the special promise that Hashem gave us. We're intrinsically one being, and therefore, as a result of that, b'lev echad, we're also able to have one lev. And what's special here in Aish, I think, is not only, I think we have two types of unity. We have the Ki'ish echad, because we really are one people. We are one people, intrinsically bound, but we're also working as teams together on similar goals, similar objectives, to try and help the Jewish people as one. And I think with that in mind, it's very special to really kick off the joint lunch and learn together before Shavuos, and especially to invite a very special Rabbi, Chover, Rabbi, Rav Dov Shlita.
If you came to hear an inspirational and motivational speech, you came to the wrong place. Because I'm not I am a speaker sometimes, but I'm more of a sharer. Just share some things that I'm learning and experiencing to try and help us all to experience better things. So we're talking about preparing for Shavuot. So I could get up here and give you a whole Devar Torah. There's a Devar Torah, and it's like the Chatunah, and the Torah is the Ketubah, and we're standing on Mount Sinai with Hashem, and it's the same energy that we have every year, and it's coming back, and we're not commemorating the past. I could do that, but I don't think that would help anyone very much. Because we actually are just people trying to get more out of Shavuot. So when you're preparing for Shavuot, for many people that's like, what guests are coming? How are we going to get the kids to behave? Where am I teaching? And, I'll try and learn all night. What's going to be my learning Seder? I'll try not to fall asleep for Musaf. And so we need a real preparation for Shavuot. And it's going to be Sunday night and Monday. And we're going to try our best. And then we're going to have a meal on Monday. And then that will be it. And we'll get on with our lives. So how do we actually prepare? So our sages teach us that prepare, hachana, takes two things. Moach velev. Moach and in fact, the gematria of hachana is moach and lev. There you go. So it must be true, because that's the gematria. So it has to be true. So what that means is you have to understand, what is it that I'm preparing myself for? If it's for guests and trying to learn all night, then that's cute, but that's not what it's actually about. What is it I'm preparing myself for? And then we have to say, well, how do I do that? And then the lev part is you've got to be excited. Are you actually? Is anyone here actually excited for Shavuot? Yeah, great. That's pretty cool. But most people are like, whatever. I'm very excited for Leil Seder. Leil Seder is very exciting. I'm very excited for Sukkot. Shavuot, it'll be nice. I'll learn, but I'm not that excited for Shavuot, to be fair. So we've got to understand what the inyan is. Where are we trying to get? Sof ma'aseh b'machshava techila. What is it we're meant to be experiencing? So the truth is that the Torah that we received on Shavuot 3,338 years ago, we just smashed it 40 days later because we worshipped the golden calf. So are we celebrating the Torah? Not really. Simchat Torah we are, and we say on Purim, Kimu b'Kiblu, on Purim we really received the Torah. Even the Torah we received at Har Sinai, he held the mountain above our heads and we were forced to receive it. And now obviously some people say, well, that's the chuppah, and it was so beautiful, a beautiful chuppah, and we're standing underneath. We know all the vorts, but you didn't come for a vort or a Devar Torah. If you did, came to the wrong place. What we're really doing is, it's called Zman Matan Toratenu, the time of the giving of the Torah. And there's two things when it's the matana. There's the gift and there's the giver of the gift. And the giver of the gift is more important than the gift, especially in this case because we smashed the gift 40 days later. It wasn't that great. So the revelation, Hashem revealing himself to the Jewish people, that never got taken away. That's what happened at that time. And the whole, what was meant to be happening on that night, Hashem says to Moshe, I'm going to speak to you in front of everyone, and everyone's going to see me speaking to you and believe in you forever. And then the Torah says, and then Moshe reported the words of the people to Hashem, but it doesn't say what the people said. So Rashi famously says that the people said, Ratzaneinu l'raises malkeinu. We just want to see the king. We just want to see Hashem. What am I doing in it? Why am I putting black boxes on my head and my arm? It's just because I want to have a relationship with Hashem, surely. Or is it I just want to get points in Shemayim, or I want to be a good Jew? No, why am I actually doing that? Why am I doing anything I'm doing? Why am I trying to inspire the Jewish people to come closer to Hashem? I just want to have a relationship with Hashem. An honest, authentic, personal relationship with Hashem with no divrei Torah and vorts and kol. That's not impressive to me. How do I personally relate to Hashem? So the very first thing is the Ratzon. The Ratzon is the key to everything. What do you really, really want? So I think we all know that we've been counting the Aimer, and we've been going through the Sfirot. So we've got Chesed, Gvoret, Tiferes, Nezach, Hod, Yesod, Malchus. Now we're in Malchus. So what's the Sphira of Shavuot? What are we been building up to? So the Sfarim Kadeshim say the Sphira of Shavuot is Keter. Keter, which means crown, which means it's actually above the Sphirot. The Sphiras start really with Chochmah and Bina, which is intellectual understanding. A crown is above that. It's above that. So what comes before Chochmah and Bina? The Ratzon. That's what Keter is. Keter means Ratzon. And Keter, we know, is Gematria 620, which is 2 times the Aimer, which is 310. So that must be true, because it's a cool Gematria, so it has to be true. Because we count the Aimer, Hashem counts the Aimer, that's 310 plus 310, that's 620, it's Keter, blah, blah, blah. Cool vault. Now, what does it mean? It means, what do you really want in your life? Do you really want a relationship with Hashem? Do you? Well, yeah, I wouldn't mind, but I'm really busy learning Torah and like running a Kiruv organization. So when do I have time for Hashem? So how do you know how much you actually want something? How do you know what your Ratzon is? There are 2 main ways. Number 1, how much do you think about it? If you really want your team to win, you're thinking about it the whole time. If you're really in love with that girl, that guy, you're thinking about them non-stop. So the question is, how much are we really thinking about Hashem? Are you walking around really, what percentage of your thought during the day is, how can I really get an honest, authentic, palpable, personal, real relationship with Hashem? I just can't stop thinking about that. Now we're thinking about good things. We're thinking about shalom bayis and paying the rent and giving our kids a good education and changing the world and inspiring it. That's very good. And I'm sure most of us aren't thinking too much about sport and stuff like that. We're really thinking about very important, meaningful things. And how much are we just thinking about Hashem? What percentage of your thoughts are just can't stop thinking about Hashem? So if you're in love with someone, you're thinking about them a lot. So that would be the first thing. To stop making space in our day and our mind to really just think about Hashem. Now, obviously, we have systems for this. This is what brachas are meant to be. A bracha is really meant to be microdosing Hashem throughout the day. You're meant to be like Baruch Atah, and be like Baruch Atah. Wow, Atah. Sometimes I actually say a bracha like that. I say Baruch Atah. Baruch Atah, Baruch Atah, Baruch Atah. So until I feel like I'm really speaking to Hashem, it's really in front of me. Baruch Atah, Hashem. Once you said the word Hashem, you can't go back. Bracha levatala. But the truth is, if you say Baruch Atah Hashem, and you say the right bracha, but there wasn't Hashem there, then that is a bracha levatala. You just wasted the bracha. The purpose of the bracha was to feel that you're speaking to Hashem who's really there. So if you said the right bracha, but you weren't feeling Hashem, then you wasted the bracha. So if you say the wrong bracha, but mean it, you say a Berei Priya Eitz on a rogalach, God forbid if you would eat one of those things, but you really meant it, that's not a bracha levatala, it is halachically, I understand. But it's not, if you really felt Hashem and you felt and you were really grateful for the food Hashem gave you. So the first thing is, how much are you actually making space to think about Hashem? The second thing is to know how much you want something, what's your ratzon, what's the keter, what's the motivating factor, is how much effort you'd put into it. How much effort am I putting? If you want something enough, then you'll put the effort to get it. Obvious. So people say, you know what, Rabbi, I just can't get up. I find it very difficult to get up in the morning. I want to come to your 9:30 class, but I find it. I'm like 9:30. That's mincha. What are you talking about? I've been up for like 10 hours by 9:30. What are you doing? Anyway, so they say, look, I just find it very difficult to get up in the morning. So I said, what if I offer you $10,000 to get up at 5 o'clock and do 10 star jumps? Would you be there? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, what do you mean? You find it difficult to get up in the morning? So they say, well, for $10,000. I said, what about collecting the woman of your dreams from the airport, taking her to a hotel? Would you be there? Of course I'd be there, 4 o'clock in the morning. So then I say to them, well, the truth is you don't find it difficult getting up in the morning. You just don't value what you're getting up for. Because if you value what you're getting up for, then of course you'll get up in the morning. It's obvious. So then they say to me, well, what do I have to value? You're not offering me $10,000 and a beautiful woman. So what do I have to value? I'm like, how about valuing your life? How about valuing your self-respect? How about valuing your relationship with Hashem and anything? Don't you just value life? Isn't that enough? $10,000 is more important than life? An amazing idea. So we got to think to ourselves, and very, very important to say at this point, and I'm sure you all know this, Judaism has no place for guilt, shame, pressure, and comparing yourself. Often, and I found this, you've got to be very careful, if you give kind of a motivational idea, it's actually very unmotivating. Because people think, oh yeah, I'm not doing that. My brachas are so bad and I'm not. That's not what it's meant to be. It's meant to be the opposite. You're meant to say to yourself, I hear this, you know what? I hear this. So therefore we have to understand the path to healthy growth. The path to healthy growth is know what I'm growing towards, and that's hopefully a real relationship with Hashem. The second part is working on it, wanting it, ratzon, I really want this. The next part is ivdu et Hashem b'simcha, which means it's got to be seen as an opportunity, not as a pressure, guilt, fear, comparison. But then, Rabbi Nachman speaks about this a lot. The word hayom, we've been saying the word hayom every day, well, apart from in Song of the Day, which is every day of our lives, but for 45 days we've been saying the word hayom, hayom, hayom. And there are many meanings. One of the meanings of the word hayom is just being present in the moment. But Rabbi Nachman, I wish I had a diktum around here, but Rabbi Nachman really speaks it out, that says, just focus on what you have to do today now. Some people get very overwhelmed. How am I ever going to learn the whole of Shas? How am I ever going to daven in a minyan 3 times a day? How am I ever going to improve this character trait? So Rabbi Nachman says, you don't have to daven in a minyan 3 times a day for the rest of your life. You need to daven in a minyan 3 times today if you can. And by the way, he then says, if you don't, then try again tomorrow. That's okay. Just try again tomorrow. Do it. Just do what you need to do now. So our real steps of healthy personal growth, number one is just take the step that's in front of you now. And that practically means asking yourself, what's my avoda now? What's my mission now? Do I have to be with my children consciously now? So I think lots of people, we come to yeshiva, I'm going to get sacked for this, but whatever. This is what Judaism is. Judaism is Gemara Be'in. You have a chiyuv to learn the whole of Shas. and the Gemara says you have to kill yourself to do it. Gemara being, that's everything. And then you've got to know halacha, you've got to run a home, so you've got to do that. And there's prayers somewhere in there. We've got a bit of working on your character traits, and then maybe some like sport, like be a bit healthy, and then change diaper. So we've got this hierarchy. It's a lot of pressure. So the way I've learned it is, it's not like that, it's like this. There's a good place for Gemara being, and very important. All the greatest people on the face of the planet learn Gemara being. I understand that. But changing diapers, that's avodas Hashem as well. So people say, you know what, my wife is sick, it's getting in the way of my avodah. That is your avodah, you idiot. That is the avodah now. So everything, your challenges in your life, in your difficulties, and the fact that I'm not doing very well, that's part of your avodah. So we have to understand that another part of healthy personal growth and Jewish growth is understanding that there are ups and downs. And downs are not b'di'evet. They're not b'di'evet. It's not like I got to feel deeply connected to Hashem at all times and working on my character traits, and sometimes I fall b'di'evet. It's not true. The downs are part of the journey, a very meaningful and deep, amazing part of the journey. Rabbi Nachman says you've got to be baki baratza or baki b'shav. You've got to be an expert at feeling connected and inspired. You've also got to be an expert at those times that are going to happen. They have to happen as part of the journey where you don't feel connected. But not to fall from your fall. Don't start beating yourself up. And in fact, the relationship is defined more by those times when you're not feeling so connected. When everything's going well, you're feeling connected, it's a great relationship. But when it's not going well, this is what I tell my students as well. I'm sorry about this. But in general, it would seem in the yeshiva system, you start dating and you go on like 5 dates in 3 weeks and everyone's like, great, mazel tov, you must get married now. And you're like, why? And it goes, because it's so inspiring and you have the same values and you have good communication, and you just get married, get engaged now, because it's so, why? Well, because it might wear off at some point. So you want to get in there before it wears off. The Yetzer Hara is going to come in. So get in there now. Wrong. It's the opposite. Wait till it wears off. Wait till you don't agree. There's some disagreement and you realize that she's not perfect and you're not perfect. Can you get through the disagreement together? Then you're ready to get married. You're only ready to get married when you can deal with the down points. So in fact, the down points in our avodas Hashem, that's the greatest part of our avodah. That's called real avodah. When everything feels good and we're learning well and we're davening well and we're feeling good, that's great, but that's not avodah. That's great. So the avodah is understanding that I just got to do what I need to do now, this step in time. The second thing, Rabbi Nassan says, we say, Sfatem lechem, you should count for yourselves. What's the word lechem doing? We don't need it, just count the omer. It says count for yourself. A few different meanings. It says la'atzmechem, for yourself, to understand that everything we're doing is to help build ourselves. But he then goes on this I wish I had the books here. He says lechem means do your avodah, don't look at anyone else, ever. Do not compare yourself to anyone else. Now there's something called Kinas Seifrim where you can look at big people if that's inspiring you to grow. You say, you know what, I want that character trait. But I find some of these stories, like the Vilna Cohen on his deathbed did a cheshbon nefesh and he only had 4 minutes of bittul Torah. I don't find that inspiring. I'm just like, I have like 8 hours of bittul Torah a day. I'm like, but I'd like to see the Vilna Cohen speaking to a birthright group on the roof. I don't think he'd do very well with that. So I got my avodah, and it's just today and now. And each person has their own little path up that mountain. Don't look. And so this is what we're saying. Don't look to tomorrow and don't look to yesterday. You're not defined by yesterday and you're not defined by tomorrow. You're defined by do your personal avodah, to do it today. What's my next step on my journey? That's it. But the goal of the journey is to come and stand next to Hashem and understand that you don't need to be perfect to stand next to Hashem. And we're not perfect because Hashem accepts us where we are as long as we want it, as long as we're moving in the right direction. So the preparation for Shavuot, what do you want? I think you want 1 minute where you're alone. It's going to be hard, you're in the Beis Midrash. Find 1 minute, go to the kotel, go onto your balcony, 1 minute whilst you're alone, and breathe very deeply, and just be with Hashem. And we know that on Shavuot there are no mitzvahs. There's no special Shavuot mitzvah. Pesach, Matzah, Rosh Hashanah, Shofar, and other things. Sukkot, Hanukkah, we got Shabbat. There's no mitzvahs. Cheesecake not a mitzvah. So I know. You were thinking that. I know, but it's not really a mitzvah. But you can say a good bracha on it. It's still not a mitzvah. So there's no mitzvah. Why? Because mitzvahs comes from the word savta, which means a connection point. And Hashem is saying we don't even need to do mitzvahs anymore. We just, let's be together. That's why Shabbat's called Atzeret, just like Shmini Atzeret doesn't have mitzvahs. It's just the time to be with Hashem. So what we want to do to prepare is to yearn for it. I want it. I just want to feel Hashem's presence and to understand that you don't need to be perfect to do that. You just need to be wanting to move in the right direction, in your own way, with a bit of self-compassion, but with drive and motivation, but self-compassion, not comparing yourself to other people, doing just what you need to do now. B'ezrat Hashem, we should be all zeicher to grow in healthy, holy ways and to teach our students to be able to do that as well. It's very good to push and motivate people, and everyone could be Rab Noach Weinberg. No, they can't. Not everyone. How many Rab Noach Weinbergs are there? Not that many. You can be you. You don't need to be Rab Noach Weinberg. You just do your little avodah, and Hashem appreciates you being you. B'ezrat Hashem, we should be zeicher.